2023. Oh my goodness, I am so excited to be here. Welcome to Career Fair 2023. We've been planning for days, for months for this particular event targeted at you. And I'm so excited that we're finally here to talk about you because after this conference, I'm sure you're going to have the best version of your life. So stay tuned. My name is Victoria Simon. I am a social development worker and I am also a smartphone productivity coach and also a permanent student of Learn Every Day. Well, I love to learn every day, so this is something I love telling myself. I'm a permanent student of learning every day. So good to see you. If you can hear me and you can see me clearly, please write in the comment section that I can hear you and I can see you. Come on, come on. I want to see your comments. I want to know where you're chatting from. I want to know your location. So do well to let me know where you're chatting from, and I get to have a very good view of who our audience for today will be. So go on. Let me know where you're chatting me from. Let me know where you're talking to us from. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's go, guys. You're welcome. You're welcome. I see people joining. Thank you so much for joining. It's super exciting to finally have Career Fair 2023. It's been an amazing planning. It's been an amazing journey. And the fact that you're here means that you're going to be learning a lot from this conference. Today is the grand opening. And if you don't know what's up, please go ahead and invite your friends. If you know people who are supposed to be here, go ahead and invite them, share the link so that they can join the live and have the best version of today's program. Come on, guys, let's go. All right, you're welcome. Let's know where you're chatting from. Let me know where you're chatting from. If you can hear me and if you can see me, please let me know where you're chatting from so we can have a before we start, I want us to get acquainted before we move on to the next thing on our list. So do well to let me know where you're chatting from. If you can hear me, let me know, please. All right, today we're going to be talking about something very important. I mean, something very important, okay? So if you're not ready, please ensure that you make necessary arrangements, and stay glued to your screen because you're going to be learning a lot. You're going to be learning a lot. And before I continue, we cannot start if we don't acknowledge the one and only Onyinye for putting this up together. She's the founder of Tower Africa. We cannot start if we don't acknowledge her. Thank you so much for putting this together. I know what it takes to invite this seasoned speaker to be part of Career Fair 2023. Thanks to Tower Africa. Thank you for finding this vision and thank you for rising to it because a lot of people are going to benefit from today's edition. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for all you've been doing for us. So basically, before we start, I would like to let us have an understanding of what we're here to learn today. Today, we're going to be learning about legacy leadership. You're going to be knowing how important it is to build a legacy as a leader. Of course, you're a leader. It doesn't matter the stage you are right now, you are a leader. So we're going to be learning step-by-step process on how to build your legacy leadership in your industry. Your industry is going to have a facelift after this section, I can assure you. So before I go on, I would like us to introduce our speaker for today, and it's so amazing how he has made arrangements for today's class. So before then, I would like us to welcome Mr. Ayodeji Razak. He's going to be taking us on today's section. But before then, let's quickly have a profile view of who Mr. Ayodeji Razak is.
Okay.
You're welcome,
Um,
sir.
yeah, thank you so much, Victoria. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Ayodeji Razak, the group CEO of Red. Red is a group of PR agencies where we have um, Red Media Africa, Statecraft. I mean, under the group, you have brands like Y Niger, the Future Awards, the Future Project, amongst Robin of our products. I'm also the co-founder of X Holdings. X Holdings has Rikisa, Duo, and Flipside as some of our experiential and digital agencies, among some of the things we do. So basically, I'm what you would call a marketing professional with almost 20 years experience in this industry.
Wow.
And, yeah, I
We
think
are
I've
so
enough.
excited to have you. We are so excited to have you. But before we go on, we would like to apologize to our audience because I know you guys were expecting to see Mr. Adebola Williams, Adebola Williams, sorry, the Adebola of Lagos, or Debola of Lagos. We all know him as Debola of Lagos, the man with the red heart and all of that. So because he's so super engaged and because he loves us, he had to send someone to take us on today's section. He's quite busy a little bit because he's traveling and he will not be able to facilitate today's section. But amazingly and wonderfully well, we have a seasoned speaker who is going to step in and teach us because we are here to learn. The aim is for us to learn, and thank God the verb is not empty because we have someone as amazing and beautiful as Mr. Ayodeji to take the section. So please relax, grab your notes and learn. So over to you. Please let us know, give us an insight into what we're going to be learning today.
So first and foremost, I have to apologize again on Adebola's behalf. He really wanted to be here. As a matter of fact, he definitely wanted to be here. That he had to call me at very short notice to step in because he had to board a flight that had been delayed. So there was no way he could be here and be in the air at the same time. But he sends his best regards and he's really looking forward to all of the things we're going to learn and I can share with you. Today we'll be talking about leadership, what to do as a leader, what not to do as a leader, and more importantly, how best to identify leaders and what you need to do, even as you're trying to become a leader. What are the steps you need to take to improve your leadership skills in ways that you can benefit both yourself and any organization that you're working for, either as an entrepreneur or as an employee.
All right. So thank you very much. I'm ready to learn. So next on your screen is going to be Mr. Ayodeji. So stay tuned and learn. Please don't forget to drop your question. If at any point you have any question, please drop it in the comment section. And during and after a section, we can have the privilege to ask him some questions. So, sir, over to you, please.
Right. First and foremost, we're going to be taking this session. I was told it's not a speech, that is a teaching session. So,
Yeah.
as I try and share my wealth of experience, if you have questions, just write in the chats and I will try and, respond to as many of them as possible. Um, yeah. First, we have to start with what is the concept of leadership skills? What does it mean to have to be a leader? What does this word leadership even mean? A lot of people have tried to define it. I'm sure most of us are familiar with a lot of the academic definition of leadership. But more importantly, in the context of a career, a leader is someone who, and this is how I like to define it, a leader is someone who sees opportunities that no one else is looking at and takes them. Now, um, a lot of people, when I was starting out in my career, one of the things I first learned, one of the books I used to read, John C. Maxwell's book, was called Living from the Middle, is as an employee, it's quite easy to think that, oh, because you have a boss, you know, you are not necessarily the leader. And because maybe you're not sitting at the management level or you're not sitting at the top of the food chain, you might tell yourself, oh, I'm not the leader. There's someone else who is leading. And that's a false position, because when I joined my first organization as an employee, I was, of course, at the bottom of the food chain. But the first thing I quickly understood was that, again, is you can lead from the bottom. We've all been taught that leading is something you do at the front, but I've come to realize very quickly that you can lead from the bottom, and that means you have to first and foremost show that you know what you are doing there, do the work you are doing, and do it perfectly. So, in this session, one of the first things that we will try to touch on is what those leadership skills mean, because the leadership skills is how do I lead from the very bottom of the food chain? How do I lead from wherever it is I'm starting from? The first skill that you must acquire in that space is your ability to retrain yourself, your ability to take learnings. Like Victoria said, we are all students of the school of continuous learning, meaning you cannot have, as a leader, you cannot have known it all at the very beginning. I'll just read one very definition that I wrote down. It said, in a world where change is norm, legacy leaders emerge as a guiding light. Leadership is not just about being in charge, it's about creating a lasting impact that ripples through time, right? It is about leaving an imprint that extends beyond the horizon. So, first and foremost, if you're going to lead at any organization, you must be able to first serve, meaning you must be able to first do the work that you are supposed to do. That is the concept one of leading as a person. Before I move forward, I want to ask a question of the room, and anybody can just write in the comment section the answer. I know this is a career fair, and this is about opportunities for improving your career and all of that. It would be great to see in the comment section if anybody has questions around their careers, what they need to be doing, what your current leadership challenge is, so that I can use real life examples to give you real life feedback. I don't know if you understand. So if you're having specific leadership challenges that you have, it would be great to write it down. Is it how to manage my boss? Are you struggling with a particular role? If you put those comments in the comment section, I can take them and address them and use that to also guide this session, so that it's practical and it's not just me telling you academic theories, but we can actually give you real life feedback. So back to what I was saying earlier. The first thing we're going to learn is concept of leadership skills. Now, there are several leadership skills that a lot of us have heard or read about. Again, people talk about humility. People talk about growing the capacity to do more work. Okay, someone just said something. Someone said, how do you manage a tough boss? Let me share. I can only use real life examples for this. I mentioned to you that one of my first jobs, I was at the bottom of the food chain. I mean, of course, when you start, it's from the bottom of the food chain. I joined an organization a while back when I first started out in my career, and my line manager, when I joined, was excited about seeing me. How you bring someone new in, and they had this big problem at the organization at the time. It's marketing, and for those who know marketing, you understand what POs and whatnot is. They had this client, a global client, and I don't want to mention names or brands, for the sake of protecting people's businesses. They had this global client they had done a project for, and they needed to provide what is called project report. Let me just use that word. They provide a claim report. When I joined, they had been struggling with providing that claim report for almost 6 months, because every time they submit it, they miss out on some of the requests, and the client is declining and saying, you know what, I'm not going to pay you for this project. And it was like $40,000. When I came in, I did the project, I looked at it and I'm like, it's a very small problem. I fixed it. And my client was so excited. My boss was excited. He even bought me a wristwatch. It was such a huge deal, and I was excited. I was like, wow, this small thing that I did, this very little work that I didn't think was such a big deal. My boss was so excited. He bought me a new Fossil wristwatch, quite expensive, was really excited that I helped them recover the money. And after that, I started to grow in the organization. I became so valuable that I had this particular client that when I joined the organization was spending average of $4,000 a month with this client. In today's economy, that's like 4 million naira. By the time I was about to leave, this client was spending $400,000 in that same quarter, in one quarter. So over the course of 2 years, we had grown the account from $4,000 to $400,000. But one time before I left, my boss had a problem with me. And the problem was, I was becoming a little too proud, which was a flaw on my own end. Because, when you are now a valuable staff, you start to
Yeah.
forget that you are still a staff and you start to behave like you are the owner of the business. And I was getting to that space. And I'm very honest to speak to that. And I got to the place where I was now very, for lack of a better word, proud. And they would call me and I was like, I'm coming for the meeting. I mean, I was doing the work, but I had lost sight of why I joined and what are the things that made me great. And my boss took me to the front of my clients. And long story short, he embarrassed me. And embarrassment says that he put me down to my place. And more importantly, he employed someone to manage me. Again, for context, I was managing myself. So imagine when your boss look at you and say, "Yeah, you think you are big," and then he brought in another organ, and this person he brought was difficult. Like maybe they told the person that, when you get there, frustrating. Show him that he's a small boy. One of the first things I had to do, and this is to answer the question of how do you manage tough boss. One of the first things I had to do was first I had to fix me, which is I had to look at myself and say, what do I need to be doing differently? First, I quickly identified I was too proud, so I started fixing those problems. Then, more importantly, I had to start to manage my own expectations of the boss. One thing you must know about managing tough bosses is that you can't change your boss. It's like managing a parent. You can't educate them on how they should deal with you. It's not going to happen. There is nobody, and I run businesses now, there is nobody that works with me that can come and tell me, oh, you need to become a little more nice to me. And I would listen, because the first thing I'm going to ask is, you're not the first person I'm working with. So the context of trying to make me change is flawed on arrival. Instead, what needs to happen is, how do I make sure that this boss does not become tough with me? That's the real hack. So I started to look for what the people that the boss liked and looked at what they did. Now, some will say, oh, it was like they say, it says, oh, you are what's that word? You're patronizing, you are flattering the boss. But if that's the trick that works with your boss, even Jesus Christ, and I'm a Christian, for those who are Muslims here, I'm a Christian, so I'm going to have to use my background as well. Even Jesus Christ will tell you, it's in the Bible, give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar. So if you have a tough boss, there's always somebody that they like. What are they doing? Maybe do some of that. You don't have to do everything. You might not necessarily snitch on other people and all those other things, but align with who the boss likes and you will be fine. If that does not work, well, maybe you should change your job. I'm just saying, but to be honest, I don't think it's that deep. Most bosses find the person they like, you're always good. How do you manage leading people in a school setting as a leader? Interesting. When you say school setting, I'm assuming it's a university type of environment, because any other setting, you have what is called authority given just by being senior. I don't know if it's as a student, then as a student, and I'm saying as a student in a university or those kinds of things, maybe you are like a class rep in your school and everybody's acting like their bosses, but you have to lead them. If that's the case, and if it's not the case, please provide context in the comment section so I can redirect. But if that's the case, I'll give you an example again. I'll give an example for myself. When I was in the university for all through my 4 years, I was campus fellowship president. I was campus fellowship president from year one. So imagine being fellowship president of the campus fellowship in University of Lagos from year one all to year four. Meaning I had people in the fellowship who were way older than me, who had been school year 3, year 4, and I had to tell them, oh, you have to attend meetings on a Sunday, you have to do that. More importantly, in my year 3, I became a department exec. I didn't run faculty roles because at that point I had lost interest. I was already working full time. Yes, I got my first job in university. I was 200 level when I got my first full-time job. But how do I manage leading people in a school setting as a leader? The first thing you must do is that understand that leading your colleagues and people who are the same level as you is different from leading people who are, older than you or you are older than. When you're leading people at the same level as you must find what is called common ground in your leadership spectrum. You must first look at what are the things that influences their decision making. For example, when I was leading my department, I could not walk to the class and say, because I'm the social secretary, or whatnot, I'll go into the faculty and tell them, oh, we're having games night tomorrow. Everybody must show up. People will not show up. Or better yet, because I was department vice president at some point, I'll go in there and say, we have called the meeting, we're increasing the department's fees, everybody must pay. People will not pay. They don't owe you the responsibility to listen to you. You must convince them that what you're doing is in their own best interest. So if you're leading students within that space, or leading within a school setting where you are dealing with peers, the power must be in your power of persuasion, in how you go to them and you say to them, here is what needs to happen. We have to move XYZ to this location. I will need your help. And if they don't go, even if it's 2-3 people you convince, with every persuasive leader, you don't need to convince everybody. I think the biggest mistake any leader makes is trying to convince an entire room to follow you. What you need to do is convince 2 people. Usually find your friend, your friend's friend, convince them. Once those 2-3 people join you, people always follow the crowd. Once 3 people join you, you convince another one person. For what's happening, anybody that is not joining you looks like they're bad. So the trick was always simple. I will go convince my best friend, convince my best friend's friend, convince my best friend if he has a girlfriend, convince my girlfriend's best friend. And then by the time I've convinced everybody within my own circle of influence, what happens is that they would also, because they now believe in my vision, use their authority to convince other people within their circle of influence. And then that circle keeps getting larger until you've captured enough people that anybody that is not joining you now start to experience what is called fear of missing out, FOMO. And then they start to join you, because they don't want to be left out. I see there are a lot of other questions, so I'm going to keep moving as quickly as possible. I'd like to know about your first corporate work. How did you navigate your career as a young graduate in a corporate environment? So my first corporate work was not as a young graduate. I was an undergraduate. So I got my first job working with BlackBerry, back when BlackBerry was still a mobile device in the 2000s. How did I manage it? I was on campus one day in University of Lagos, and I came to campus and I saw billboards. You know how they put posters, not billboards like we have now, those notice boards then that you put pin on. And I saw that they posted one in my faculty, and it was a very simple question. Oh, who wants to be a BlackBerry rep, enjoy the coolest job in the world? There's no salary. They wrote it very clearly there. No salary, but we would provide cool gadgets and opportunity to interact with a global marketing team. I was like, okay, cool. I wanted to always work in corporate space, so I applied. Well, over 6,000 people that applied. Shortlisted about 300, did more interviews. Eventually, picked only 3 of us from 6,000 students across the country. When I got the job, it was my first, foray into marketing. I was a student, but they wanted students because they wanted us to provide the unique view on how students use the device and what are the ways that they can improve the device to make it more student friendly. So here was I'm using all of the cool BlackBerry curves. I used every single BlackBerry before they got to Nigeria. So it was the Curve 2210, the Curve 3320, every single one of them. When the BlackBerry Z, the first touchscreen device, ever came into the market, I had it almost 2 months before Nigerians even saw it. And I was doing it because, again, remember, the job said no salary. So a lot of people that even applied, most of the reasons why they dropped out was because they're expecting a salary. And they said, no salary, no salary. Here's the twist. When they finally picked us and we started, they put us on a salary. So it was weird. They said no salary, but they didn't call it a salary. It was called the wage. But you see, a lot of Nigerians walked out on the job because they felt, oh, no salary. But again, the global brand doesn't understand salary. Salary means they have to pension you and all of those other things. So when they said no salary, what they were trying to avoid was people expecting to get a pension, getting to get HMO. I didn't care for that. I just wanted to, work with a cool brand. I got the job. I was on a wage that was approximately, at the time, 110,000 a month. And I was a student in the university in 200 level. I did this job till I graduated. In fact, anytime ASU went on strike, I was one of the people that was, both happy and sad. I was happy because it meant that I could stay at home and do my work. I was sad because it meant that I couldn't do the work as much because I needed to be in school to really enjoy doing the work. So I was getting salary for free all throughout the strikes. And I did it for I did it like graduated, and I was in school for almost a year because of strike, during the time when I was as a university undergraduate. The point I'm trying to make is that that was my first job. After I navigate it, it was quite the experience. When my next job after I graduated as a student and became an undergrad and became a full-time graduate, I was working with e-commerce platform that launched at the time that Konga came into the market. The Konga. It was the same thing. I loved doing the work. I loved digital marketing at the time, and I didn't care for all of the politics that were happening. I was more interested in winning on the job. Did I face politics? Absolutely. I got too many times I got called into conversations that I should have, dealt with better. For example, I'll give you an example. My boss was a politician. Again, I won't mention his name for people's privacies. Was a politician who was going to run for governor at the time. They're going to lay off everybody. And then he called me into his office and asked, yeah, these two guys, do you mind working on my campaign? Even as just, help me with one or two things at the time on digital. I said, yeah, sure, I don't mind. I mean, I was just trying to keep my job. I kept the job. A lot of friends because half the people that were sacked were my friends. So most of them felt like, oh, I went to lobby the boss for a role and I was not doing this together. And I said, no, I didn't. I was doing my job right and my boss wanted me on his team. He didn't ask for any other person. He asked me. I'm now interested. I'm thinking, should I have recommended that, oh, we should be 2 or 3? Would he have accepted? Probably. But again, I was a young undergraduate or young graduate in one of my first jobs outside of work. The only thing I was thinking about was myself. And more importantly, I was trying to do the work. And that's something that I think I cannot overemphasize. If you do the work right, you'll be fine. Sometimes things not work out just as you planned? Absolutely. But if you do the work right, you would always land on your feet. I just want to navigate career change with mid-level experience. So this is one of the easiest.
Sorry, Mr. Ayodeji. Please, could you just present? Then we'll take the questions later, so that.
Okay,
yes.
Not a problem.
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Okay. So again, back to what I was trying to say around what kind of leadership skills one needs. First, you need to develop the ability to understand the work. You must do the work correctly. Second leadership skill that you must have is, first, above all things else, you need to have what is called the resilient spirit. Resilience is such a skill that most people, it's one of the soft skills that a lot of people overlook. You must have the ability to stay in the battle even when it looks like you are losing. Now, because as a leader, you would always go into some battles that if you concede defeat, people who are following you, who are observing you, would sense it and would naturally start to, fall out of line. So to always make sure that you always win is to build that resilient spirit, build that ability to not give up. It's stubbornness to some people. But you see, there's never been a great leader or anybody who achieved anything who was not stubborn to the point that it becomes embarrassing. And that's what resilience is. I mean, you'll be stubborn to the point that people will ask you, is it that you cannot see that this thing is not working? It is not that you cannot see, it's that you strongly believe that what you are doing is right. Now, there's a fact here, is to know when to walk away when it is obvious that you yourself have agreed that this is failing. Now, here's the problem. If you are one who quickly throws in the towel, then you would fail a lot than you would succeed. Case in point, if you keep banging your hand against the wall, if you do it for long enough, the wall will give way. Will your hand break at some point? Yes. But if you keep going, the wall will give way. Because what's that? There was you see Newton's second law. It said a force in motion will not change direction unless acted upon by an external force. I'm not sure which of the laws it is, but for the physics students and physicians in the room, you can correct me which one is. I think is it the second law or the third law. But the point is, if you don't, apply the kind of pressure that you need to apply, people would always push you around. And as a leader, that's a skill that you have to learn. It's not something that you are naturally born with. Some people are born with stubbornness. The skill as a leader is to know this is not working and I need to walk away. Discerning what decisions you need to make. Next one is you need to learn the ability to motivate others. Now, to motivate people is not that you must, again, stand up in the room like they do in the movies and speak in such a loud voice that people are like, wow, this guy is very motivating. No. To motivate others is the ability to inspire others to do what you want them to do, even when they do not believe you. I like to use examples. When I started my own organization, I invited a friend of mine. It was one of the heads of the agency he was working with. It was a very senior staff. Everybody valued him. This was someone that was going to be great, amazing. It was fantastic. They had called him all the titles, right? When I invited him, I said to him, I'm going to start my own company. And he said, really? I said, yes, I'm going to start my own company. And I need you to come with me. This was someone who technically I could not afford, right? I could not afford him even on my own salary. But because I knew that I needed to start in such a way that I can bring the best in, I went to him. I said, if we do this for 1 year, I showed him a roadmap. We'll do this for 1 year, we'll do this, we'll make this. And then I said, you know what? Let's talk about your family. I know you need money. I can put this, and this on the table. I can afford to pay you salary, but if me and you work together, we can make this money. I can give you this amount. And we showed him a roadmap. It was hard. It went 3 months before he came back. When he came back, he said he had to explain to his wife. And his wife came to me, and I sat on wife, and I spoke the same thing. I convinced her. And she was like, you know what? They only give me 2 months to prove myself. Of course, I went under the 2 months, we worked extremely hard. And now he's heading our UK office. The same person. He didn't have to follow me, but he did because I was able to show him clearly where I was going. As a leader, the ability to motivate is not just by inspiring people with words, it's by being clear, clarity of purpose. Meaning you must be able to show the person you're working with that you know what you are doing. This goes to a question that I read here. If you are managing as a mid-level leader, you're working in an organization, and you're saying, but I'm not the one who is, these ideas are for people who are running the business. If you're working in an organization and you want to show that you are a leader within an organization and you're a staff, the first thing is when you're presenting an idea to even your colleague, you must present in such a way that the person doesn't have to ask, but I don't understand. You must present in such a way that the person understands you. You must simplify it like a popular author in the US always says. You make it such that idiots that read it can understand. That's why he writes his book. Now, you would simplify the idea to such a way that even you, if you're explaining to a 10-year-old, they understand your concept. I don't know so much about finance. I didn't study finance in school. I went to school, did psychology, went out, did a master's in marketing, did an MBA in marketing. I am a professional in marketing. But my understanding of finance is so in-depth because the people I've surrounded myself with is such that when they're explaining to me, they explain in a way that if I was in school, I would still understand. When I did my MBA, my finance, I got one of the highest scores in my department. I graduated top of my MBA class. I graduated top of my university degree. I was always brilliant as a student. But that doesn't change the fact that people could explain and could understand. That's the key skill. Is how are you able to communicate such a way that is clear? Another skill that leaders must have is the ability to delegate. Regardless of whether you are the one who is given the task or you're the one who is told to execute the task, the ability to delegate is your ability to see a problem, identify it, know the results or the answer you want to achieve, and get somebody else to do it successfully. All of us have had to delegate work, regardless of whether you are at the top of the chain or the bottom of the chain. Even if you were just telling the security man how to open the gates. If you are not able to communicate your thoughts clearly, you're not able to delegate clearly. And delegation is the key part of leadership. One of my mentors told me a while ago that as the CEO, if I cannot sit down, he said, have you ever been on a ship? I said, no, sir. I said, if you're on a ship, have you ever seen the captain doing more work than steering or turning the ship's wheel? I said, to be honest, no. He said, and if you notice that the ship, you know the way ships run, all that turning the captain is turning, is not really turning the boat though. It's not that wheel that it turns that the boat will swerve and turn 360. Boats don't turn with that. It's not like a car. So the captain just holds that once they need to turn a few degrees. Nothing significant. It turns it a couple of degrees and then the boat keeps sailing in direction. The real work of how a boat moves is at the bottom. So the captain's turning is not what is directing the boat in its essence or keeping it afloat. The captain's turning is just what makes sure they land in the right jetty or don't run into a wave, which it doesn't need to do every time. So captains on a boat are very, what's for lack of a better word, jobless. They do the lowest amount of work. And he said to me, he said, the same thing with the plane. Most planes fly automatic nowadays. The pilot is not in the air turning the wheel left, right, and center. No, all the pilot is doing is looking outside, observing the dials, and making sure that no button or no alarm goes wrong. As a leader, you are exactly like that. When you say a captain, you are a leader. What you are is supposed to be the person who does the least amount of work because you are able to see the big picture. If you are going to lead at any level, you must be able to see the big picture of the role you are performing. For example, in my industry, we have people who are called promoters that do all of the field activations and all of those things. If an account executive who is supposed to be the bottom of the food chain in our organization is working, I don't expect when I go on the field, the account executive is the one that is now telling the promoter, oh yeah, stand there. Oh yeah, no. The account executive should have briefed that work to his supervisor, and the supervisor already sees the big picture. And the account executive just goes to the event and is making sure that nothing goes wrong. The ability to see this big picture is a skill that every leader must have. I want to move quickly from leadership skills because I can take the last two. I've already talked to them: communication skills and time management skills. I think generally anybody who has any interest in leading should understand that time management is a thing. I always tell people every time. People ask me, I run at least 8 or 9 different companies, depending on where you're counting from. I have businesses in Lagos, Nigeria, in Kenya, in Ghana, in Dubai, in London. Right now, we're trying to set up for the office in the UK, in the US, And in all of these things, people always ask me, how do you have time for everything? How are you able to run that? These are multiple businesses, by the way. It's not one company, multiple different companies with different problems. And the one thing I always tell them very clearly is this: you have to create time. And creating time means you look in your 24 hours. If there's something you are doing that somebody else can do better than you, get that person to do it. Once you get someone else to do it, you would have time for your other things. For example, if you work a day job and you realize you get home every day by 6, but you want to start a side hustle, you want to start a side business, and you get home every day by 6. You close from the office at 5, you get home by 6, and you say by the time you get home, you can't really do a lot on the business. Then your job should be very clear. What do you do on Saturdays? Because whether or not you like it, if you spend only your Saturday, 3 hours on Saturday, it doesn't have to be the entire Saturday. What time do you wake up on Saturday? If you wake up at 8 o'clock on Saturday, then you're wasting time. Because if you can wake up at 6 o'clock on Monday to Friday, why don't you do that on Saturday? Wake up at 6 o'clock and spend 2 more hours, including the whatever short time you can give in daytime, on that business, even if it is just the planning. Even if it's, I want to start to do, for example, I want to start to do trade, sell products on air, sell wigs and whatnot on social media, and I want to do it while I'm working. Or I started a digital marketing class and I want to do it while you can wake up on Saturday by 6 o'clock and watch YouTube videos on how to do digital marketing and do that till 8 o'clock. That's 2 hours you committed extra. But the real problem is that a lot of us wake up at 9, we say, I have to rest after a long weekend. Absolutely, you do. But then again, what is priority? Rest after a long weekend or building a brand so that you can rest after 40, which is where I'm going. I'm trying to retire at 40. So if that's the plan, then you have to ask yourself, what am I doing now to aid that long-term vision? Do I want to wake up at 2 o'clock in the night and do more work? I used to, when I was a student on campus, I did all my reading at midnight. Not because I didn't like sleep, but because I realized it was quiet and that was the best time for me to read. I was very terrible at reading during the daytime. I would sleep. So when I go to class, from lectures, once it's 3:34, I'm back in my hostel and I'm sleeping. People are like, but you don't go. I'm like, I can't go out because I want to read. So I will sacrifice my daytime that I know that I use to go and play, unless there's a football match because I'm a Man U fan. I'll go and watch football. But unless that, I will sacrifice my daytime and I'll go and sleep. I'll sleep at 4:35, wake up at to 9 or 10 when everybody else is about to sleep, and then read till like 2 a.m. and go back to sleep. I still get the same amount of hours, just in a different schedule. Again, what are you giving up to achieve your dreams? The importance of leadership to career and business development. That's the next thing I want to talk about. For me, yeah, every time I have progressed in my career is because I have taken some time out to go and look at what other people are doing and model them. I read a book when I was 13. It's called Anthony Robbins' book. It's called Unlimited Power. And you can look it up. There are digital versions of the book. You can download it and read it. It's quite the read. It's quite a bulky read. So you need to understand how my brains have been thinking, or how my brain has been thinking for a long time. I read the book. I was 13 the first time. I reread the book at age 19. And one thing I learned in that book is that first and foremost, you must understand the power of modeling. Anthony Robbins carried a study, and he said in his study, he realized that a lot of people are where they are today because of who they copied. It's weird. You would ask, what does that mean? All of us, and I mean us, myself included, are one of who growing up. You are behaving the way you are, either because you copied a parent, a TV personality, whatever. All of who you are is a function of all the things that has happened in your life. Right? Now, Anthony Robbins built out this model, and he used it to define how we should behave as humans. I'm going to teach you some of the things I learned in that modeling. Is that first and foremost, if you want to be as rich as Bill Gates, then you must be able to know, what does Bill Gates do? That's why they write autobiography. What does Bill Gates do? Where does he sleep? What kind of food does he eat? Who are people he engages with? There's a high chance if you can do all of these things, you'll be like Bill Gates. It's just simple logic. Now, the same way, if you want to be like your parents, if you live the way they live, think the way they think, you will end up like the way they ended up. And that's why most of us are why we are the way we are. I sound very much like my father. I gesticulate, think, talk like he does because he's my model. The real question is, who are you modeling your career against? If you're trying to make good decisions and excel as a business person, you must model your career against the people that you want to succeed like they succeeded. So to that point is to say, if you have a desire to be successful in business, then look for people who are successful in that business. Look at what they are doing, how they are doing it, why they are doing it. You may not be able to ask all the questions. Some of them write books. If they can't write the answer in books, copy what they are doing. To a large extent, you will get the how in the copying. Because like they say, there's nothing new under the sun. The only thing that has changed is that you are the ones experiencing for the first time. Everything you have seen, if I want to be like Dangote today, if I start behaving like Dangote, working like Dangote, people will start to give me Dangote type projects. That's the rule of modeling. And that's how you can, again, improve all of that. Run out of time. The next thing I want to discuss is if career and business growth. This is very important. See, I say it every time. You cannot grow in any kind of space, either as a pastor, a teacher, anything, if you cannot lead yourself. I'm sure what's also on social media, if you cannot train yourself, lead yourself, guide yourself, you cannot grow. What this means is that as a leader, you must start to think in terms of what are the decisions I'm making that is hindering my growth. If people keep telling you something and saying, you need to do this, you need to change this, you need to improve this, that's something that you need to work on. Just to wrap it up, what are the things you need to do to be successful as well as a leader? I already mentioned all the skills you need to have. One thing you also need to have is to find yourself a mentor. For those of you who have followed my career, if you follow my career any little way, and if you even Google me, you will see that one of my mentors is Adebola Williams. So when he invited me to come and join Red as their group CEO, it was a no-brainer for me. Because if I'm going to succeed the way Adebola is successful, then I have to walk in the shoes and in the path that he has set. I think my time is up. I'm going to pass the mic to Victoria, and she can tell us what we're doing next.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ayodeji. It was indeed a powerful section. I can see the comment section is on fire. A lot of people have questions that I want you to answer. But first, I want to say thank you so much for honoring us and for being the first to open the Career Fair 2023. Indeed, the session was really amazing. Thank you so much. One of the things I learned is, as a leader, you must be resilient, especially now that in Nigeria, everything is kind of taking one step or one twist to another. One thing that is going to help you as a leader who wants to build legacy is resilience. So I really loved that point, and it's a take home for me from this section. No matter the weather, no matter what we're going to be facing, we have to build that particular art. So thank you so much for the contribution so far we've learned. So I want you, in 1 minute, can you give us your purpose word? What is it that works for you? I know you're working with purpose, so give us a purpose word. What you actually move on with as an entrepreneur and someone who is building a legacy in leadership.
Okay. I have a quote from the Bible that I used to guide my life, so I'll just give you that. It's quite simple. It says, "Find you a man diligent in his works. He will stand before kings and princes, and not mere men." That is how I've always lived my life. You know, apply myself 100% to every venture I step into, because after time, if you give 100%, you have done more than more than 90% of people that even attempted that project. So imagine giving a little more than 100%, and then before you know that, you're always in the front. And that's been my watchword and watch guide all my life.
Thank you so much, sir. Indeed, we enjoyed your section. I'm sure the questions, with time, we're going to get arrangements and bring you forth to answer some of those questions, or we'll send them to you when you likely to have a live session, and then you can attend to some of those questions. But I think our next speaker is already around, so we'll have to wrap up so that we can move on with the next section. But definitely we'll have you attend to some of the questions in the comment section. So thank you very much. It's nice to have you at the Career Fair 2023. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. So that was an amazing section. I can see the comment section. Let me quickly go and see what you are all talking about. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Angela. Thank you. I Motivate by Shalom. Thank you so much, guys, for your comments and every other thing. So the next section is about to start, and someone should please place your hand on your screen and say, "My network, behave yourself," because the next session is going to be amazing. It's going to be wonderful. So please stay tuned and enjoy the best of Career Fair 2023. You can see I have my notepad here. I'm here to learn. I am a forever student of Learn Every Day. So please learn and apply what the things that you're going to be learning from Career Fair 2023. So thank you so much. It's so good to moderate this section. It's so amazing. Thank you so much. My name is Victoria Simon, and I am super excited to moderate this section. Thank you so much. And then in a few moments from now, you're going to be having the next session for Career Fair 2023. So please stay tuned. We still have some days to go. This is just the first section, and it is this powerful. So please and please stay tuned. Grab as much knowledge as you can and apply them. And I know that In the next few months, we're going to be receiving amazing testimonials. So thank you so much. See you next time. Bye.